Welcome back to WCS Europe Season 2 Premier League. Round of 16, we're in Group C right now, having had our first match of the day. The King in the North is still alive after a win over Poland's Tefl, who now drop down into the lower bracket. We'll be shortly getting underway in our second matchup. Just a quick reminder for you, you can interact with us via social media. Don't forget the hashtag WCS. Give us your thoughts and comments on the first match that you just saw. Maybe even tell us your predictions for the second match that we'll have between MMA and Happy very shortly. Don't forget us also on Facebook, facebook.com/StarCraft, and the same on Twitter /StarCraft. It is time to update you on our bracket to show you where we are. First match of the Group C has completed, and it is Naniwa as we predicted, but I don't know if everyone thought it would go that way after the result in Challenger. So Naniwa, first man through to the winner's game. He's just one game away from a place in the round of 8, something he didn't achieve in Season 1. Our second game is just on its way. It's going to be a cracker because two men fighting for glory, fighting for a chance in the winners' match against Naniwa are these two men from Korea, MMA, the triple crown holder, the first man to do so, coming through his round of 32 with 2-1 against Tails and 2-0 against last season's star, TLO. By contrast, Happy from Team Empire, losing against his friend Titan 2-1 in the first game, and then coming through our own friend Todd 2-1, and a final victory against Sortor from Sweden to take his place in the round of 16 for the second consecutive season. He's the last man alive that was in last season's round of 8, the 8 Great, or the Great 8, depending on how you want to call them. Can he make it through again? If he doesn't, every single player that we have in the quarterfinals this time will be brand new to the quarterfinals of WCS Europe Premier League. It's time for game number 2. It's time to pass you over to Bert and Ernie. It's Apollo and Kalaris.
Bert and Ernie, what's it? Sometimes we have to sit Paul down for just a while and let him relax. But back guys, welcome back to the caster's desk here, as we now have our TVT on the way. And I've got to say, Apollo, actually, I've really enjoyed TVT as of late. It's been good.
Yeah, what have you been enjoying so much about that recently?
Well, for a long time I was enjoying Hellbat drops. It was quite amusing to watch. Not particularly on the receiving end of it, but watching it was fun. And now the deviations with Hellbats not taking quite the pedestal that they once had, just deviating things up a bit. We've even seen a lot of very Wings of Liberty-esque styles coming out. The Muslim, for one, last night in WCS Europe was one that was falling back onto a very Wings of Liberty style.
Well, look at that model on the right-hand side of your screen.
Meow. He has some nice-looking hair right now, man.
He's got a great haircut.
Yeah.
He's a handsome dude, and I'm quite happy to have him in the studios once again. It is MMA, a 5-time big Premier StarCraft 2 champion. He's won 5 different international tournaments, 1 in each region. And I'm quite happy to have him cast in here again, going up against Happy. But I really think that the vetoes, I don't think, I know. The vetoes are being based around playing against Mech, I feel, here for MMA. I watched him practice, I sat behind him for a little bit here, and I know that he knows how Happy plays. He knows that Happy likes to play Mech. So I really feel that MMA, who is traditionally a bio player, will be focusing vetoes that he thinks are good to help him in a fight against a player who's going to use mechanical units.
Yeah, and I'm quite surprised actually here that that map veto was as quick as it was. That was extremely fast in comparison to the most of the map vetoes we have, so much so that I actually didn't catch the remaining maps. So we'll see those in just a second as Happy gets geared up here for his TVT. But just in general, Happy, again, this is disputably his weakest matchup, and I say that saying that he has actually a 74% win ratio in the match, which is extremely strong, but still not as strong as the other ones apparently.
Remember, MMA lost versus Strelok in Season 1, and he still struggles against Mech today. I watched him, struggle against it backstage. So I really think that that may be an approach that Happy will want to take here. But whatever the case, whatever the strategies, I am looking forward to this. Happy is the only player that was in the round of 8 last season, is the only player still left in the tournament from that last season, from that last Premier League. And we'll see if he can get past the round of 8, because he always stumbles in the round of 8, whether it be at the most recent Asus ROG tournament, whether it be the WCS last season's Premier League, or whether it be the WCS from 2012, which he also finished in 8th place. Today, let's see if he can go up to that and live up to that, and hopefully this weekend surpass it as well.
And then we have MMA, a player that for the longest time was considered to be one of the best, if not the best player around. But now, he did fall off. But I think that as of late, with his performances in team leagues and things, he's kind of propelling himself back forwards. He's an absolute force to be reckoned with in team leagues, and now trying to perform on the solo stage, taking over TLO no less in the round of 32. Very impressive.
All right, let's not lie to ourselves. MMA is not the same player he used to be. He is not the same GSL champion that we used to see. He's not the guy that won the BlizzCon tournament, or Blizzard Cup tournament. He's not that player. I'd say he's, you know, nowhere near that player.
He's a shadow of his former self.
Yeah, he's not quite there yet, but he is slowly improving his results from the last season to in between, where he's winning team league games, where he's winning online cups, whether he's going 2-0 in his round of 32 group, whatever. Let's see, because I'm a believer.
You are a believer.
I'm a believer.
Awesome. All right. Well, Spawn got the bottom right-hand corner is that man that he is going to have to defeat, representing Russia and Empire. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Happy. Very determined. And Spawn down to the bottom left-hand corner here as our blue Terran, representing Korea and Acer. Give it up for MMA.
Are you a believer? Do you believe in MMA? Do you think he can return to what he used to be?
I'm going to go with yes, I'm a believer. One, because I think he actually could do it. And two, because if I don't say that, Sella might get angry at me.
Happy birthday to Sella.
Yeah, happy
It's his birthday today. He did ask me to sing for him, but I'm not going to do that.
Really?
Sorry.
Aww.
But look at this. MMA already deciding to open up with a gas first here on Newkirk. Aggressive.
Yeah. Well, this could be interesting here. As Happy, meanwhile, no gas is taken just yet, but we'll take it. It's a very, very treacherous road that you actually do walk if you do not take these gases early in this matchup nowadays. You've got to be very, very careful about what your opponent's doing.
Yeah, with the gas coming down here first and the position of the barracks, where, you know, we are going to see a fast factory come into this game, and I'm quite happy to see that play, because MMA, for me, is an aggressive player that plays the speed of light. He is fast.
He is fast. You're right. We need a Caldor APM video on that, my friend.
Yeah, and hopefully he can play to that level, because if he gets into rhythm and really can actually bring out the speed that we know he plays at, I think he can actually outclass Happy. Depending on how Happy plays himself, though, we did see a 13 gas come from Happy, and with a scout that he was going to go in and will scout out this early gas, he's not set up too bad to deal with this. His factory himself, because it was a 13 gas, is not going to be too late, too far behind MMA's. As you can see, it's already close towards 100 supply. He did, though, decide to build a Reaper, and I think that's a bad decision. He does cancel it. I think I prefer the factory down a little bit faster. He's going for the reactor, so I think the reactor's not bad. It's better than the Reaper, because what's really the Reaper going to do? But the reactor is going to allow him to get out a lot of Marines quite fast. The factory should follow this, and with a lot of Marines coming out, they deal with anything that can come out from MMA at this point, whether it be Banshee, Medivac, Marines themselves, Hellions Mines, the lot.
And you know, with Happy actually poking in there and seeing the positioning of those buildings, he has to know some airborne threats coming around. At least this is a very, very indicative position of something like that happening. Second gas is going down as well here. Did Happy see that second gas? No, he didn't. But the Marines did push him out in the end as well.
I mean, it definitely, he doesn't know whether it's a lot of money being dedicated to this attack or not. But whatever it is, he knows some money is being thrown into this. So he's going to set up defensively anyway. He's got one gas of his own, so he will go for a command center, but we'll see now if he's going to be able to defend against what's coming. I just want to remind everybody against my favorite player, Innovation. He did lose 0-4 to aggression.
He did.
So do bear that in mind, that aggression is good in recent times here in TVT. It does punish a lot of greedy builds, but Happy's build isn't that bad. I mean, I don't think he... It depends on what really he builds from the start point. If it is straight to a Viking, which I think it should be. But we'll see how much damage is done. Do you think, how many? All right. First of all, how do you think damage can be dealt? Yes or no?
I think damage can be dealt.
How much is the next follow-up question? How many SCVs can get killed? The engineer base on its way.
I think 4 SCVs, because I think that the Viking timing for Happy should be a pretty good spot there if he wants to go for it.
I think maybe less. I think maybe none. Maybe one or two. Because with the Banshees coming in now, we already had the Starport coming in. With the Engineering Bay and the Viking on its way, a turret within the mineral line, and Marines down too. Happy is set up very defensively and does have a command center down that's going to increase his economy, even if he was to lose a few. So MMA needs to kill just more than 1 or 2, 3 or 4. He needs to kill 5, 6, 7, 8 and above. We'll see if that's going to be possible. He does have a Widow Mine waking its way across the middle of the map. Of course, scans may be used, and maybe he can find a place for this to get in. But as much as I want to believe in MMA, I'm not believing in what he can do here in this game.
No, I think you're right. Happy set up far quicker than I was expecting him to. And he known this from the very beginning. I mean, I did point out that the positioning of the buildings was so indicative of this. And, you know, Happy read into that as well. Although, that being said...
Well, if he pulls his SCVs back a little bit here and just, you know, loses a bit of mining time for not losing SCVs, loses one...
Loses one and trying to get a second, but will have to cloak away and pull away for now. But there's really not too much room for him to do this.
There is a scan available.
Yeah. Only that one Viking actually chasing here.
One Viking, but a Medivac being made here, and with Hellions being made as well. Imagine if he was to counter drop. That would be impressive, wouldn't it? That would be impressive if he was able to get into the mineral line. But so far, the Banshee's gonna pick off the supply depot. Well, that's better than nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. It's rare that you actually see a Banshee kill off a supply depot here, but there you go.
That SCV. No!
No! Help
Not me!
No! He wanted a missile turret, bless him, but
no
good luck with that.
Widow Mine's still not really detonating there, but we are having the Medivac, I think, moving its way across the other side of the map. So it's only Marines, actually. So Marines aren't going to come down into the middle line, but there's nothing really left to defend. And Hellions making their way across the map. The Banshee actually has to come back to defend now. Nice counterplay here.
Yeah, no, very, very nice indeed here as Happy drops in that mineral line and forces a lot of lost mining time here from MMA right now as his Marines will actually pursue once again here with those SCVs going to battle as well. He's killed off, well, roughly the same amount of SCVs that his opponent has. So.
Yeah, MMA is in a bit of a lead with the SCVs, but that was a great counter drop play, and I think that if that wasn't the case, then maybe Happy wouldn't have been in the lead, but with Hellions on the natural, the command center only just now finishing. But remember, MMA does have a third command center, right? So even if he is taking losses, maybe if Happy does have a bit of advantage with a third command center down, he's going to catch up quite fast.
Look at this. Part of the Great Eight.
The Great Eight.
Hoping for Happy to actually advance on here. He is their hopes. He is the representative, the lone representative right now. As Happy, well, he's going to clean up that Widow Mine, which is a nice one. But unfortunately, that scan, he has another one in reserve. Always very nice, and another one in around 10 seconds time.
I think the Banshees has done a good job. I didn't think they would do this good of a job, but I think they have here. I do like the amount of damage that they've dealt. 7 SCVs killed throughout this game.
I was hopeful, man.
You were hopeful. And he's going to get another one here, just as the turret doesn't complete. And even though squeezes out another one there. This is more than I thought would happen. So if we look at things with a third command center down as well, this is not bad here for MMA. Not bad at all.
And the Banshees, just in the end, didn't actually see the factories. I mean, he can, you know, you said at the very beginning, he can imagine that the kind of mech style is going to come along, but he doesn't have full confirmation of it just yet. But, you know, seeing that many Hellions, he has to assume that something's up in that regard.
Well, finally, seems to be the end of an era for these Banshees. Not going to get too much else done in this game, but it is going to be the wonderful bio tank versus mech. And I was actually very sad when I was backstage, back watching the players warm up. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because I went in there and I saw MMA playing mech, and I was devastated. It hurt my inner fanboy. Because for me, MMA is not a mech. He is not a mech player. Oh, no way is he. He's the guy that's dropping in 6 places at once while controlling 4 armies at once, while eating a cheeseburger and taking a drink of water.
Let me bring something back to you, Sean, all right? MMA, it was Gumiho, I think, Antigua Shipyard. Do you remember?
I remember.
That was some awesome...
I'm a believer and I'm a rememberer.
You are. That's some good stuff.
But now I really want to see, because the other thing I did point out earlier is that MMA, he struggles versus mech. Does he struggle today versus mech in this important game, in this important series, which is everything for MMA? Come on, he's not a round of 16 finisher. He's a champion. He's a 5-time champion at heart. And we are going to see 4 Hellions come in here. There are a couple of Marines for MMA.
Thing is, Happy's well versed in this style.
Look at that medevac, it's so low.
Yeah, he's got to be very, very careful about this. He's going to try and attack the natural as well, where the Banshee comes in as well for some harassment. There's too many Marines there.
Oh, squeezes past.
Oh, yeah, he does actually get us down in the end, but the siege tanks at the front will clean that up. One siege tank alone could have probably ended up doing a lot of damage to that, but this one Hellion trying to scoot a boot, and we'll have to go away.
Scoot a boot.
I've got something about that sentence, man. It's weird.
Armory I was actually thinking about an armory, only just now coming in for upgrades here, as MMA is approaching 1-1 and will be able to get to 2-2 quite fast with an armory to come down soon, and with the amount of tanks he is quite well defended against Hellions, so MMA has opened up nicely. I think he had a great opening with the Banshee. I like the third command center that went unpunished in this game, and now with 1-1 near completion and things to keep on rising up for MMA when it comes to upgrades and his long game. I like his position.
Yep. He's certainly rocketing up in terms of that supply count, that macro, as he has 58 army supply in comparison to 36 here from Happy. And Happy does drop the scans. He's the transfer of the SCVs, and whoa, those Hellions breaching the natural here with Blue Flame as well. The potential for a lot of SCV kills as they all group up, and oh dear me, the former Slayers player having a bit of Blue Flame Hellion annoyance himself.
That's right, but he does finally stop it, but a lot of SCVs were killed there. That was a nice move there from Happy, who's still behind in supply, but he did of course trade, but he equalizes up the game now when it comes to economy. Army supply very heavily in favor of MMA, who did have the economy up and running for much longer and having a better income, but it really doesn't matter that much, I don't think, unless we start to see MMA drop. But the starport's now only just now starting to produce a couple of medevacs that he can use actively. Because he's never going to break the ground because there's too many tanks. And with a point defense drone here, you know, a single Hellbat, trust me, Hellbats are great. Then I don't think this is going to be broken, but drops definitely. But that's what the sensor tower's for. A couple of turrets, rings as well.
Yeah, so I don't think he shouldn't be able to get too much done here. Although that being said, Happy
does scan. He does check it out.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, he throws down the scan in a position where...
Oh, imagine if he picks off that right siege tank and then stims into the natural here.
Yeah.
He's got to be careful. Happy doesn't know about this.
Look at that. Good position here from MMA. But very close.
He is kind of looking for a contain to stop the fourth from coming down eventually here, and maybe if he holds his position, he can start to drop into the main base.
Sees the air advantage as well, not only going for Vikings, but also mixing in Banshees.
Yeah, and he's got additional starports coming down already here, saying, all right, a mechan player doesn't have too much air of his own. Let's mix it up.
I mean, if he sees that advantage, as I just said, oh, nice Hunter Seeker missile though. Should be able to pick that up and run it away. Nice move there by MMA.
That's my boy. I do love good Terran players.
Yeah,
that was nice.
That was cool. I mean, this is why I like TVT now. I mean, in terms of mirror matchups, it's arguably the best in terms of what actually can happen. It's very nice to watch sometimes.
So he's up to 2-2 on the way now, as well as... He's actually just playing a very good game. And I think that's... I mean, no disrespect to Happy whatsoever, because of course, and everybody knows I've hyped up Happy so much throughout so many different tournaments, but without MVP in this tournament anymore, we need a big Korean superstar.
Yep.
And MMA could be that guy.
He could be.
Of course, still is MC to play tomorrow.
Waiting in the wings.
Battle cruisers on the way as well. Fusion core coming down, and that's just... that's just a natural transition from having all this air, right?
But this is quick, right?
It is quick.
Very quick.
And I think this is one of the elements that I think a lot of bio players struggle with, is that by the time that Happy reaches 200 supply, a lot of bio players are still stuck on ground units, like Marine Marauders and tanks of their own. But what MMA is saying is, you know, I'm going to play aggressive, I'm going to set myself up in a lead, I'm going to tech up faster, because if it doesn't get scouted, which I don't think that was a scan from Happy, I think that was, okay, it was, but he doesn't really see it.
Yeah.
How the hell is Happy going to prepare for this? Like you said, it's faster than normal, much faster.
And +2 air weapons already going down here for these battle cruisers, so they are going to have monumental amounts of firepower here. Whilst Happy, in terms of his armor, he doesn't even have a single armor upgrade just yet. Battle cruisers, guys, they attack pretty fast.
Nice hole.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that's definitely very, very useful here. Sees all of these extra starports going down as well, so he does. But look at this. Mixing these Banshees in that quickly. Oh, everything you have is vulnerable. Great, I'll take advantage of that.
A very, very strong game here from MMA as he sieges up on the third base, and Happy is in trouble. He's in trouble. He actually doesn't have anything to do with the battle cruisers that are going to come into the game very soon. But with the amount of units, the amount of strength And the quality that we are seeing from MMA in game number 1 is absolutely mind-blowing here. I didn't expect him to play this well today. I thought and believed in him. But he's playing a very, very classy game.
Yeah, I'm very excited about how he's just played that out. GG, there you go.
Very classy.
I wanted to say more about that, but it doesn't matter.
There is nothing else to say about that, Kolaris. He just smashed that one out the park.
But it was really cool of MMA to acknowledge, right, you actually going mech, it's going to take you quite a while to go for this. I'm mixing in my star pots a little bit earlier. I'm getting my Banshee production a little bit earlier. What are you going to have to deal with that? Absolutely nothing if I'm controlling the skies. It's a cool way to play. Happy seems a little bit bemused by that, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so too. He's like looking at the graphs and the stats of the game and he's like, oh, whoa, wow, what just happened? As MMA really did bring out an incredibly strong performance there. That was definitely something to be proud of.
Look how calm he looks. Just ain't nothing. Ain't nothing to a boss.
He's experienced. He's not going to let anything affect him, whether it be confidence or whatnot. He best not let it affect him. But I definitely think that that kind of game is a game that if I was MMA, if I advance from today, I go ahead and show my friends.
Yeah.
Like, did you see game number 1 against him? Did you see how good I played? Did you see?
And there wasn't anything like miraculous there going in his favor. It was just, I'll go for a little aggression, a little bit, maybe a drop or two, and then just build what I want to build.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that Happy could do, even getting after like 25 worker kills. But it didn't really matter here. As we go into game number 2, Belshire Vestige is our map between these two Terran phenomenons. And let's jump right on in. As we have, spawning up to the top left-hand corner as our red Terran, representing Empire and Russia. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Empire Happy. Spawn down to the bottom right-hand corner, our blue Terran, a previous champion, multiple-time champion, representing Korea and Acer. Give it up for MMA.
Is he back?
Do you know what I want to see?
What do you want to see?
I want to see
a non-Protoss go through.
Well, there's that partially. But also, MMA shaves his mustache. I want to see MMA with a mustache. I don't...
All right, okay. I would take a picture of you and him standing next to each other.
Thanks, man.
I'd put it on my wall.
Mustache bros.
And be like, there's my partner in crime and there's my little favorite Terran player.
Yeah, he's good. It's pretty good.
And that would be an awkward one to explain if any girlfriends came over.
Certainly would be.
A picture of Kolaris and MMA both with moustaches, that would be an awkward one.
Hey up, that's me.
Hey, behave.
No.
Behave you.
No, not again.
Behave.
I thought I got over this in around a 32.
Well, apparently not.
Gosh darn it.
Well, I didn't even know you could do that.
Wait a minute. It's like, I think my PC's actually just...
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Happy's like, oh,
He's
God.
smiling. He's smiling.
Well, it gives him a couple of extra seconds because in between games, there's not that much time to think about things, but I guess he can use this extra 60 seconds to just kind of go over what just happened in his head. But one thing I did notice in the game already is that MMA did open up the same again. Refinery is down early, yes. He has opened up for aggression play again, so I'd like to see if it works out as well as it did, because I didn't think it would work out that well. It seemed like Happy had all the tools, right?
Yeah.
He got the turret, he got the Vikings, he had the Marines, but somehow, some way,
I mean,
MMA found his way.
MMA's macro behind all of what was going on was just amazing. Very, very strong indeed. My PC has apparently completely bogged. So yeah. It's gone. It's gone, guys. So they'll drop me in a second and it'll be over. Oh. Kolaris will behave.
You will behave.
I'm gone. I'm sorry.
Hashtag behave. Hashtag WCS.
I think in the round of 32 we might have got more hashtags behaves than we did hashtag WCS. But
I think so, didn't we?
Oh well.
Funny that.
All right. So indeed, the refinery is going to go down for Happy as well here. And well, I mean, again, he needs it. He needs it, as we will have this all finished up very, very soon.
So I mean, with Happy's refinery coming in once again here, I feel that this is not bad. You know, he's setting himself up quite nicely. So. I wonder if he's going to have the same defense again, you know? Yeah. I wonder if he's going to be able to, or not the same defense, sorry, the same setup for the potential same defense, because it really looked like it could have been defended, but We'll see if he can have that option again, because he's going to poke in. He's going to see it.
Yeah, he is. That SCV pokes on in, as you said, and has a little bit of a look around. Eventually, we'll go over to that gas. Probably just click on the gas. He did in game number 1. I mean, there was quite a long time that he was actually hovering over that gas. And for now, we'll actually have to pull back, as there are Marines on the way.
Reaper coming out this time, though, isn't Reaper? That was something that he said to himself that he didn't want. He wanted the faster reactor. So I wonder if this is to try to punish non-Marines that don't keep on coming, non-consistent Marine production. Because if there's only 2 and the SCV goes in and helps, you know, it depends on if there's a reactor coming down or another Marine. But there is another Marine star. There is actually a Marine there for Happy too. So a Reaper, Marine, and SCV. Because the Marine and SCV are actually sacrificing their lives here.
Yeah.
Sorry to say. Because the Reaper's the guy that could get in to do the most damage. He's faster.
He's already got an SCV kill. And that tech lab is on the way here for the starport, so you can actually switch that up as well. So Reaper comes along and starts poking up. But as you said, well, the SCV...
Oh, MMA, nice micro. See that? Pull the red health Marine back?
Yeah. SCV for an SCV.
Yeah, beautiful, nice defense. So simple setup there. It looked like Happy was just trying to tickle a little bit of MMA there, see if he could break in through the first couple of Marines if there had been a reactor come down straight and early. But with 3 Marines, not going to happen. So the game will continue on as we initially talked about here. But an engineering bay coming down here for Happy. One thing that was only there in the previous game was a single turret. Maybe what happens if there's a couple more now? Let's say, for example, 1 in the mineral line and then 1 towards the bottom left of his main base. And then 1 maybe towards his natural, like a 3-turret setup. If he's able to control the way that the Banshees come in, and it is very simple. If you defend and don't take damage, while trying to get your command center down of your own, which is actually something that is missing at this point. Happy's really trying to ramp up his defense, skipping the command center here. Then he's going to be in a better position.
It certainly is, and his starport is positioned in such a way that looks as if it's quite aggressive as well. If he actually goes for maybe a delayed Banshee or something like that, but I think it probably will just be the medevac.
No, yeah, it's going to be the medevac. So without getting the command center down, it's not so much can he defend and then keep his lead. It's more so that he's going to defend with a turret here, but he's going to squeeze out a medevac to try to be a bit more aggressive, faster himself. If he can drop at the same time the Banshees are coming across while defending by just a turret and maybe squeezing out the Vikings straight away, this is a completely different approach to playing this.
But MMA has a siege tank.
Oh! Whoa, that was meant to happen. Now that just helps him out even more, because one thing, yes, he's not doing damage, but he didn't see what Happy's doing himself.
Yeah.
He's got no idea about this medevac, and right now the MMA doesn't really have anything at home to defend.
And this is kind of uncommon for Happy to actually go for this much aggression. I was very much expecting him to go for a command center. I mean, it is now going down here, but this poke from Happy could certainly catch MMA off guard as the Hellions do poke forwards.
But there is a tank with siege mode, or automatically with siege mode, of course, so...
And he's going to try and do some damage, at least to a supply depot on the high ground, but he has to be careful about his positioning here. Every single little bit of damage is being taken from that siege tank, keeps firing away.
So MMA's taking this kind of moral approach, right? And he's kind of going for one base. It's tanks now, tanks and Marines. And he's going to kind of follow just a one base push, tank, Marine, Banshee. But Happy has Vikings and tanks of his own with still a threat of aggression. I really, really prefer Happy's position here. He's not only going to be able to defend, but also be aggressive himself.
And he's actually unloading in a position where I don't think MMA can fully see that just yet. He does still have that siege tank in position, though, to actually deflect quite a lot of this. And that Banshee is going to come along as well and try and do some damage. But Happy right now has shut down a lot of the mining here for MMA. That siege tank is still there, as is the Banshee. Still trying to kill off SCVs. This is very, very back and forth right now. MMA loses that Banshee though in the end and kills the tech lab on the starport. That's a great pickup there for Happy.
Yeah, I really do like his position, and I'd love to see games go to game number 3 or series go to game number 3, as it looks like he may have to evacuate here as the tanks are in position. Doesn't want to lose too much. He gets out with as much as he can, which is optimal. But now with a Banshee here, no kills yet. 1 tank out, 2 Vikings here as well. Cloak is there, but depends on if he has a scan or not. He does have 2 orbitals, so he will have 1 at least in a second. And I'm finding it hard to see MMA break through, which is probably why he has this command center coming down. I don't think he's going to try and win the game right now. And here he should be maybe a little bit of pressure for sure. I think the best idea for MMA is to contain his opponent on one base while taking his second. That's the best here.
Yeah, and that Banshee's still trying to do a little bit more damage, skirting around the edge of that missile turret, but in the end the Vikings do come back and should be able to kill that off if he's going to be forced to drop a scan, and does in the end to try and kill it, and does. But then the drop here, once again for Happy, trying to keep MMA on his toes, trying to get a few SCV kills where he can, and then will be deflected once again by MMA's defenses. So kind of poking one another, so back and forth, drops the rest of them because he knows the Vikings going to kill it all off.
Too late for MMA with his units here, though. Tank's already set up, Happy's already got his natural, and... I was waiting for that last one to come in. Does get pushed away there, and Happy, even though behind in supply, these units that we see from MMA aren't really going to do too much, and he thinks the same too, so does decide to throw down a third command center rather than try to ramp up his unit and production. Happy, though, changing his style. He's opened up with tanks defensively, but has just thrown down extra barracks instead of a third command center, which we do see from MMA. And he's going to be playing bio this time.
I kind of like that deviation from Happy. After seeing what MMA was doing against the mech, very difficult to actually make that work out. But now Happy, forced to lift off some of his infrastructure here. The position that helped him be a bit more aggressive is now not going to help out so much, and kaboom.
That was a very polite kaboom there, Collage.
It was.
English kaboom.
I mean, I had to be as polite as possible with that. I'm sorry. It's just part of my repertoire. Anyway, what do we have going on? Extra command center for MMA. Is that his net? No, it's his third, right?
It's his third command center, and now he's adding on his own production. So the differences between the two players, if we kind of look at it, the supply is very similar, but Happy doesn't want to lose too many units in the middle. Keeping air dominance is important when playing the same here.
Yeah.
But the difference between the two players is that Happy's really increasing his army size because he's adding on extra production instead of a new command center, which is better for the longer game. So Happy, at this point, with more and more units coming in, does have the chance to take control of things himself, and with that air dominance that we see, is going to be able to siege. Doesn't really get any ground though, unfortunately. There's no structures near the high end of the base here for MMA, so this won't really do too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good position for Happy. It certainly is, with those Vikings keeping an eye on everything that's going on, but unfortunately for him, he's going to be pushed back. And because he spent energy on the Hunter-Seeker missile before, I don't think he had PDD energy there to actually soak up any of the Viking shots.
Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing really for him to gain there. Eventually he would lose it, but it would be just a drop on the units or whatnot. But here comes in a counter-attack from MMA of his own. One Banshee does break its way into the mineral line, and there is not too much here. MMA with that third command center has the economy lead.
Oh yeah, by quite a bit.
49 SCVs, just to a little bit less here. 36 for Happy, who is losing more and more and more.
Yeah, he's got to be careful about that. So, MMA, I mean, if he establishes the lead here with those Banshees as well, there's no end to how much of a lead MMA can actually have.
But the problem I foresee here for Happy is that, yes, he's invested in more units that he can pump out, but when there's tanks, it almost doesn't matter if you have more units than your opponent if your opponent has tanks. Because they don't care. Therefore, does that not mean now that MMA has a third base faster and has tanks of his own to defend against a player who has more units? That surely must say that MMA is in a better position, I'd feel.
Good position here for MMA even to actually defend as well. The Hunter-Seeker missile is, the PDD is being annoying, so the Viking is not really being able to do the damage that it actually wants to, and Happy does keep his air dominance for now, but has to be very, very careful with these Marines just on the very edge of those siege tanks.
I'm a little bit worried for the Russian here, because now that Happy is not keeping MMA away from his third base, and that SCV count's going to start to rise, and he's going to be able to build a bigger army, is that MMA is going to really take a lead in supply. Right now, it's 113 to 90. If you notice the difference, it's roughly 20-30 supply difference, but that's going to escalate. In a couple of minutes' time, it'll be bigger, it'll be 30, it'll be 40. The income's bigger and stronger for MMA, and Happy's only just now getting his third command center finished up on his natural, so it is a little bit worrisome here for Happy, who is playing a little bit behind his opponent. Needs to find a way to bring the game back equal, if not in his favor. Oh my gosh, MMA.
Very, very nice move here by MMA, actually dropping those Marines across those siege tanks here to cause them also splash damage, as well as kill them off just concisely indeed. And I mean, with the Marines helping out from the front as well, cleaning that up so well, but at the same time, Happy going for a drop here in the main of MMA, trying to keep MMA back as best he possibly can do.
This is nice. I mean, yes, he lost his tank to the right-hand side, but he's killing a lot of SCVs here, and he's doing damage, and that's what he needed to do here to try to get back in the game. MMA may be able to defend it, but with combat shields there compared to the Marines that aren't having combat shields, SCVs are coming in, and MMA is in trouble, and now things are more equalized. Look at that army supply difference, and with Happy taking a third command center of his own, he's still a little bit behind in army supply, but this drop has done wonders here.
It certainly has. He's shut down a lot of what's actually going on in the main, and now this might actually draw his opponent from that third base once again, and if Happy wants to, he can try and go there as well.
MMA, while trying to deal with this, he actually needs to deal with this attack on the left-hand side here.
Exactly.
This is so detrimental to his game. Yes, he's cleaned up, but he needs to get his ass in gear to the left-hand side, because 3 tanks I don't think is enough.
And that's a
He
lot of
scans,
Marines.
he sees it, a lot of Marines there. He needs to get his units over there to defend.
He evacuates the majority of this as well. Actually, I think he's just separating those over as he transferred them over once that aggression in the main was occurring. But if he actually sims forward, MMA actually coming in with a lot of his units here as well here, just in the nick of time, closes the gap here. And dear me, a lot of good connections with these siege tanks. Marine parts fly absolutely everywhere.
Happy, I think, was a little bit overeager there.
Yeah.
He threw a lot to do that because he realized that was his opportunity, his opening to maybe get a bit of a chokehold on MMA. And he threw his units in there, he stemmed in, he tried to tuck himself tight against the wall, but lost a lot in not too much return. And now the supply count in favor of MMA once again, and most importantly, the tank count, which is kind of a little bit scary. And MMA now, with that earlier third command center, has better upgrades, has kind of just a little bit more in tanks. That's kind of the difference between the both of them, but is mining on that third.
8 tanks is a tough thing for Happy to deal with. How is he going to actually deal with it? MMA also setting up sensor towers to the left to try and make this work out. Whoa, Happy. I mean,
it's going to be spotted too.
This.
Well, it's going to be spotted, but what units are there to stop it either way? He's stimming his units from the natural. He's trying to get there in time.
Missile turret's going to do a little bit of damage here as well whilst all of this occurs, and there is one siege tank there to try and siege up and force away some of these Marines that have clumped up nicely because of the SimCity that MMA has here, but he has to retreat out once again from this position. He needs to bring his siege tanks over himself here to try and clean all of this up.
Yeah, he's only going to kill a few SCVs and maybe a refinery here. It looks like it is going to get cleaned up by MMA, who does keep the supply lead, but only trading off a couple of units here, but I don't think that was quite worth it. It was a nice move, a nice attempt. Could have been better, but it's always worth to take the risk, right? I mean, MMA's not mining in that main base at this moment compared to Happy, who is. So he is climbing up with his supply a little bit because he's mining more money, but I'm still very, very worried for Happy when a final fight comes in.
Well, I mean,
he just doesn't have the same unit count. The tanks are scary.
He doesn't even have the upgrades either here to compete with what MMA is about to have, as well as the production capabilities here of MMA that is cranking out more than Happy at any given point in time. So, well, Happy's going to try once again here to do the damage in his opponent's main to shut down a few of those advantages here that MMA has. But I don't see it working out too well just yet. Happy's still...
He does need upgrades. He still needs things. Yes, he's doing really well for himself, but he still needs other things. Keep on doing the damage. Get these upgrades out. The armory's only just now finishing up, so once that's down, he will be able to keep up a little bit with the upgrades, but still, worker supply a little bit in favor of MMA. Army supply is kind of equal, but MMA with 3-2 on the way. A drop coming in. Nice drop, actually, but there is one tank to push that back, so a nice attempt, but still, roughly 15 supply. It's always been 15 supply, and that kind of shows us that, you know, there's been trades, but they've been quite equal between the both of them.
But the majority of that is in tanks once again here, and that's a scary thing for Happy to deal with. He's going to try and drop on top of this tank, but the medevac gets focused down. A great move there. Happy tries in desperation, I would say, to actually drop in the main once again to try and kill off some of his opponent's infrastructure, but it's not happening as MMA keeps a good eye on him.
Yeah. Happy's playing so aggressive to try to get a lead in this game.
Yeah.
It is risky because if he, for example, tries to throw units at MMA and MMA stops them without losing anything, Happy goes deeper in trouble, deeper in debt when it comes to trying to keep up with MMA, who, as pointed out, when it comes to who's in the lead and whatnot, MMA has better upgrades by a little bit here, +3 attack on the way. He has a higher tank count and a higher marine count. but the supply difference not too different between the two of them.
Oh, MMA is going to steal a page from Happy's book now and loads up a very, very sizable army in the medevacs to the left-hand side.
Look at that, they're going
Look how close they are.
to scrape each other.
Oh.
Scraping each other there. But if MMA keeps the defense strong, but he's lifted so much up, there's not much here.
Yeah, there really isn't.
This could have been I'm not. All right, so was this the right move from MMA? Was this the right thing to pick up units to send them to the main? He's gonna lose his third, and Happy does bring this down, and MMA is being deflected by turrets, but still squeezes units in.
That was a very, very good move there by MMA, negating a few of those turrets from the left-hand side as he knew that that was too much for him to fly over. Right now, fortifying his natural, very important as he does damage to his opponent's infrastructure. Sitting on top of this now means that Happy is going to have very, very few reinforcements actually coming along to help out all of this. And it could be a pretty good move here from MMA if he actually kills off a lot.
I hate this as a Terran player. I hate this so much when these tanks are in my main base. I hate it. I hate it. It is very difficult to deal with. Production is being struggled, and Happy. Oh gosh, Happy's going to drop on it, and I think he maybe had to clean up because there's not that many Marines, but
the cost effectiveness of MMA is going to be high.
Look at that army that MMA has back at home.
Exactly.
That's massive.
Well, here we go. He just drops across the entirety of this army and will kill off a lot of those siege tanks pretty darn quickly, actually, more quick than I expected them to die off. But again, the damage has already been done here by Happy in the main.
Okay, if MMA gets to the natural, if he sieges up on that natural and he gets in position right there, the game may end. But Happy has no idea. MMA scans ahead of time, sees can he gets there. Can he get there?
Well, Siege Tank's going to have to siege up a little bit further behind than where he would have liked to. But this is still a very good position for MMA. His +3 weapons is done as well. Oh, and he walks straight into a lot of that Siege Tank fire there, not realizing that he was actually set up. GG, and MMA takes it 2-0. Very, very interesting game number 2 there.
Yeah, I really felt that MMA was behind for a lot of... not MMA, sorry. Happy was behind for a lot of that game. And I felt that if we could just describe that game, it was Happy looking for a way to get back in.
Yeah.
Looking for a way, but he couldn't find it. But MMA displaying some really, really good games here, and I'm happy to see that. I would have been a sad little guy if MMA just had bombed out, very similar to how he did in last season's round of 16. But you know what? We were talking about how he's a shadow of his former self. Shadow's no longer there, man. He's showing some scary stuff.
Yeah, game 1 itself was very, very impressive. And then game number 2, with Happy looking for those openings in MMA and just not really being able to give him too many. Very, very nice play here from the Terran. And that means we are going to have MMA versus Naniwa, arguably 2 of the favorites to win the entire thing. Never mind this group. Cool. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. And I don't know who would win that now, because before today, I said that I think Naniwa should go through first place, followed by MMA. But the way that MMA is playing now, I think he could give a good game to Naniwa in this winners match.
And Naniwa said previously to us that it is arguably he's not favoring this matchup right now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough time here for Naniwa if he doesn't book up his ideas. But we'll see here as we have a few words from our winner, Mr. MMA, along with Red Eye.
Thanks very much. Yes, with MMA after a 2-0 destruction of Happy from last season's round of 8, he's now going to go down to the lower bracket. This man's going to go on and face Naniwa. Congratulations, well played. Talk us through map 1. Was it straightforward from your point of view, or was it difficult?
첫 번째 경기에 대해서 얘기를 해줄 수 있는지.
어떤
예상대로 다 됐었는지. 첫 번째 경기에서.
일단 성가스 벤시가 일찍 발각됐는데 좀 벤시를 좀 잘 통했던 것 같아요. 잘 못 막았던 것 같아요, 상대가.
Even when Happy scouted his first gas and his Banshee play, but he still couldn't really defend it, so it was pretty good for him.
Okay. Talk about map 2. Map 2 was looked tricky at times for you, but you always seemed to be ahead. And then he killed off your third. Were you worried at any point in that game, or were you totally in control?
두 번째 게임에서는 이제 계속 팽팽하다가 나중에 3멀티가 깨졌었는데 그때 좀 걱정을 했었는지 아니면 그거를 대비하고 그냥 드랍을 갔던 건지.
일단 9시 쪽에서 오는 걸 봤는데 지금 계속 조금씩 불리해져가지고 조금씩 드랍 당해서 불리해져가지고 이거 아니면 못 이기겠다 싶어가지고 폭탄 드랍 5개 날렸거든요. 그래서 그게 좀 주요했던 것 같아요. 7시 날아가도 그것만 피해 잘 주면 이길 수 있다고 생각했어요.
So during the game, the whole game, he thought like he's losing the grip, and he could really lose this map. So he decided to make a Doom drop in happy space, and it really worked well for him.
Okay, yeah, it was a risky move, but it worked out really well. Where do you place European Terrans right now in terms of compared to the Korean scene?
유럽 테란들 중을 보면 테란 유저들을 보면 한국 테란 유저들하고 비교할 때 어떤 것 같은지 실력 차이가 있는지.
실력 차이는 없는 것 같고 그냥 다 한 끗 한 끗 차이에서 좀 승부가 많이 갈리는 것 같아요.
He doesn't really think there's a really huge skill gap between European Terrans and Korean Terrans. He thinks it depends always in the game if the player plays like a little bit better or not. So.
Okay, one final question before I let you go. You're a Triple Crown winner. You've won major tournaments all around the world, but it's been a while since we've seen you win something. I think middle of last year, 2012, was Iron Squid. Are you back to your best now in Heart of the Swarm, or do you still feel like there's something missing?
오랫동안 이제 우승은 안 했었는데 요즘에 이제 실력이 다시 예전에 우승했던 것만큼 다시 올라간 것 같은지 자신감이 그만큼 다시 생겼는지.
요즘 정말 힘든 시기를 겪고 있는데 연습을 해도 좀 실력이 많이 안 나와요. 연습 때도 그렇고 대회 때도 그런 것 같은데 빨리 뚫고 싶어요, 이 답답한 마음을.
Yeah, he actually had a really hard time being in a slump and not really winning tournaments. And actually in his training games he lost a lot too. So he really hopes that this will be the chance to shine again.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Congratulations. You have moved on to the winners' game. We'll see MMA again against Naniwa very shortly, but here's Sean with some more analysis on just how he managed to demolish last season's round of 8 players. Happy.
All right, so what we're going to be looking at here is that last game, just having a bit of a look at the engagement, really. The kind of doom drop, as MMA described it. Throughout this game, you know, Happy is always trying to catch back up. MMA described in the interview, which is why I thought this would be cool to look at, he felt that he was always potentially maybe losing the game. So he decided to go for one big move which could seal it. At this point, if we just pause it for a second, he evacuates his third base. Remember the difference between what both players are trading. The third base is a mining base in his income. But compared to what's going to happen up here, it's production. It's actually being able to rebuild what is going to be lost in the trade. So if you compare what they're both losing, yes, MMA doesn't have as much money, but he still is mining from his main base a little bit and his natural as well. So he's going to be able to still rebuild what he's losing in this drop. So if we just fast forward it, Happy's like, all right, this is a given. MMA's like, this is a given. This is what I'm going to trade off. And then he comes in. But this is a very difficult position to deal with for Happy. How does he, through the SimCity and base structure, get towards these tanks? If we pause it now, what is he really coming back with, right? I mean, on the natural. So on the natural, what does he have? He has 2 tanks that are sieged up because they can't get close. He's got a handful of Marines. There's nothing. And any units that pop out, he can't really use them either because they get destroyed. So his option is he could try and go for MMA's natural, but it is defended. Quite well, quite well indeed. So he can't break that and he has to come back. So this decision by MMA was brilliant, really, because it gave him the win. So what ends up happening here is all the production gets shut down. He's not building anything. He's losing resources too because of SCVs and stuff inside the main. But here comes the drop. So yes, it's going to get cleaned up, but behind this, all the income from the main and natural and also the production that MMA still has is rebuilding to what he had back at home. So Happy now loses quite a few units because he is dropping in there. There's tanks, there's Marines and stuff. So if you look at the army supply between 2 of them, at the end of it, 99 to 69, and Happy's lost a lot of barracks. So in the production tab, even though MMA's not really building too much, there's only 4 Marines at a time being built for Happy. And he has to begin production again. 2 barracks, a factory and stuff. So with all this being built, even double engineering bay coming in, that's where his money's going to, from his natural and from his third. And then MMA was looking for a win. I think the game could have gone longer, but this happened. He didn't know MMA was there. He walked down, lost a bunch of tanks, and then simply because everything was unsieged of what Happy had, a stim up and kill. And that's how MMA was able to, pick up that game. And I think he played really, really strong in those 2 games against Happy, and I really am looking forward to his games against Naniwa. So Red Eye, I'm done with my analysis. What are you up to?
Thanks very much, Sean. Yeah, well, what I'm up to right now is trolling through the Team Liquid live report. Always good to see that one going on. Thanks to Wax Angel and the guys over there for the live reports. Make sure you keep your comments coming. Likewise, on Reddit as well, we do monitor Reddit, and we do look at the posts that you guys make. Thanks so much for supporting the WCS in Europe and America and in Korea, all around the world, of course, as part of the WCS Season 2. And a quick mention for those of you in the Twitch channel right now as well, just because, well, OP, GG, spam away, feel free. And to all of those who are interacting with us via social media as well, facebook.com/StarCraft, same on Twitter. And don't forget, mention the hashtag #WCS, and you might get your 15 seconds of fame. Won't you, Harston? Yes, you will. We'll be back after a short break with the Super Winners match. It's MMA versus Naniwa.